Hello. So, where are all of the elders in Western civilization? They seem to be disappeared, don't they? No longer here. And you can tell there's so many people these days who are feeling lost, confused, and they are desperate for some guidance. Desperate, usually, because it's built into us, for elders, for older members of a society who have hopefully gained some wisdom to be available to turn to for that guidance. But they don't seem to be anywhere. What's happened to them? Well, there's been a few things that have happened over the last 100 years or so that I think have contributed severely to our lack of elders. So, World Wars One and Two. So let's even just focus on World War One. In the UK alone, 100,000 guys went out, sacrificed their lives in the trenches in Normandy, thinking that they were supporting a noble cause. And we've just had, those watching close to the release date, we've just had a Remembrance Day in the UK. And one of the things we say about around Remembrance Day is never again. And lest we forget. But it seems that we never really knew what happened there in the first place. My personal opinion is we shouldn't have been in World War One. The whole thing was a sham. And that is a heart-wrenching thing to recognize when so many men who we should respect and honor lost their lives, sacrificed themselves. But I don't mean them or their families who survived them any disrespect. I feel that our society has lied to us for a very long time. There are folks in power who pull strings and intend to make money out of war, out of great sickness, out of strife, really. And I believe the what happened with World War One partly led to the decimation of our young men and the wisdom and the courage in those young men, even if it was misguided, the wisdom and the courage that could lead them to build our society to greater heights. World War One destroyed the British Empire, and for all its faults, it did an awful lot of good as well. So it was a great loss to the world, as far as I'm concerned. The stories those men carried from their elders disappeared. Their genetics disappeared. We were significantly weakened after World War One. Then World War Two came along, and that was it. From that point on, a lot of our older spiritual seekers, brought up primarily by women because the women had to do all of the work because a lot of the men had been destroyed, were drawn more to what I consider to be more feminine oriented religions and spiritual philosophies of the East. Older spiritual ideas, which according to Rudolf Steiner, represent earlier stages in Earth's spiritual evolution. Now, the biggest problem with that I find is that the idea of that there's no meaning to anything, and it's particularly a Zen Buddhist idea, that there's no soul, there's nothing beyond what the five lower senses can perceive. Life has no meaning, really. Which makes a very, very good case for, first of all, narcissistic materialism and hedonism, but also making any judgment about what is right and wrong becomes almost impossible because there is no meaning to anything. So how can anything be right and wrong? If you can't determine what is right and wrong in your own life, how do you move forward? Now, I'm not saying that all the Eastern religions push this idea, but it's more present there than in Christianity, I would say. I see it that way anyway. People report having direct experiences of Christ, and that being an incredibly challenging yet enlightening and inspirational experience that had them change their lives for the better and do good in the world. But those sorts of experiences can be explained away by some of the Eastern religions, these earlier religions. So we've had World War One, World War Two, various other issues, and then we lost a lot of those who could have been more evolved to the Eastern religions. That's my stance. That's my belief about it all. Having been part of Buddhist martial arts and Taoist martial arts, and studying that to some degree, I've come full circle back to my Christian roots. So the elders are missing. which tells me, because I believe that we need elders, that we need to create them. The way to create them is to become them. So first of all, I believe that we need to rediscover Christianity, as Steiner talks about. It is not the dogma of the church. It is not the group of people you meet with every week. It is an evolving personal relationship with Christ. And watch my videos on Lucifer and Ahriman. Check the link if you want to understand what the Christ is in brief. I've not gone into much detail, just to give you a brief sense of it. And what should these elders look like? Well, this is something that I've spent a huge amount of time on over the last decade. It's the core of my work, and it's what led me to do coaching work as well, because I believe it's essential for us all to understand that we need these elders, and we need to move toward that. And I don't think we need to look any further than an example in Rudolf Steiner himself to see what that could look like. He was a polymath, he was a storyteller. He held the culture. He was a steward of resources in that he initiated many different ventures and generated income, but supported the livelihoods of many different people also. He was a guide to enable individuals to discover their unique path through life. And he also was a communitarian. He brought people together in many different ways and advocated for involvement in the social world, to contribute our unique gifts to that social world for the benefit of humanity. These four roles, guiding individuals, creating community, holding culture, and stewarding resources, I consider to be the four core roles of an elder. And whilst each elder would have their own unique expression and perhaps approach to each of those four core roles, they're present to some degree. In our culture, at least, that's what it seems we need for an elder to hold. But eldership is just the final stage in a four-part process of maturation. I won't go into that in great detail in this video. Certainly, if you're interested in learning more, comment below, let me know. And what has been interesting in this video, comment below as well. But if we don't have elders, our society really has a dearth of wisdom. How can we possibly gain individual wisdom if we do not have some banner holders, a group of people who we know are available to turn to extract that wisdom, to give us a point in the right direction so that we can go and find that wisdom for ourselves? There's so much information out there on the web these days, and I recognize that I'm contributing to that right now. But I think it's really critical that we learn to discern truth. That's one of my strengths. This is why I coach. But the truth of what the world is like and what the world could be like, it is essential that we learn and understand what that means if we're to create anything better than this tyrannical regime that we currently find ourselves in. So if you've got any thoughts or comments, please leave them below. I'd love to talk to you in there. See you later.